Hello, it is Success Story Saturday, June 30th, 2018, as we hit the halfway point of the year. Hopefully you are halfway towards reaching your goals for the year. And today's success story is a guy by the name of Willis Carrier. You might recognize the famous Carrier air conditioning company. Started by Willis Carrier, and that is near and dear to my heart here in way too sunny Arizona, where in the summer it has hit well over 100 and into the 108, 110 or so for about the last couple of weeks. And so it makes me think of Willis Carrier, without whom Phoenix would not be the fifth or sixth largest city in America. It would be pretty much a ghost town. So Willis Carrier, well, when he was 26 years old, so he was born in upstate New York, and he got an engineering degree from Cornell University, and he went to work for a company in Buffalo, New York, manufacturing company, and they had an issue with a customer in Brooklyn, New York, which was having some problems with their manufacturing plant, and they needed it cooled down. And Willis Carrier had this idea, and he went down to Brooklyn and installed what would become the first modern air conditioning system. And it helped manufacturing get done, because until then machines would overheat, people would overheat and have to take a break in the afternoon, and just things would not get done, as probably you would know today if you work in an office or even from home. And in the summer when it gets hot, and especially hot and humid like it is now up north in the United States, for most of the country, and work without air conditioning, a lot less work would just get done. Productivity would go way down. But anyway, he was 26 years old when he invented that. I mean, air conditioning's been around in one form or another for, centuries, millennia. But really modern, automated, systematized, mechanized air conditioning was invented by Willis Carrier in 1902, and his company started to tweak and test it out for a few years, and it got a patent, I believe, in 1906. So it took a few years to get the patent, and then they were humming along and installing their stuff. Sales was the big deal back then, because these were a bunch of engineers. They didn't know how to sell a new concept or an idea, which, of course, for you watching this video as an entrepreneur, and Chris Bell is here, good seeing you, you know that sales is pretty much your function in life. As an entrepreneur, it's all about marketing and sales. It's where all the money comes from. You can have the greatest idea in the world, air conditioning, revolutionize the world, but if you can't sell it, you can't make any money. So the company struggled, and then World War I came along, and that company said, forget this air conditioning stuff and trying to make a go of that. We got to turn towards manufacturing for the war effort, support the war effort. So what did Willis Carrier do? He and about a half dozen other employees of the company left the company, went off on their own, took all their life savings, pulled it all together, and started the Carrier Corporation. And they started manufacturing air conditioning stuff and actually helping manufacturers to be more productive and support the war effort. And then the war ended and the Roaring '20s hit. And so now they were selling their systems all over the place, and all kinds of businesses were starting to use them. And then the Great Depression hit. The crash of 1929 hit and hurt the company real bad, like many companies. And the Great Depression, which was elongated, of course, by FDR's socialist economic policies. I mean, that depression should have ended much quicker. But, of course, he screwed with the economy and didn't know what he was doing, and so that lasted throughout the 30s and really put a crimp in the growth of the company. But at that point in the 30s, they were innovating like crazy, and they actually started spreading out throughout the world as word spread of this great air conditioning system that could up the efficiency and the productivity of all kinds of businesses. And Steve is here. Great seeing you. And then the big boom came, a big opportunity came for Carrier and his Carrier air conditioning system when the New York World's Fair came along in 1939. And already in 1937, Carrier had relocated the company to Syracuse. You might recognize Carrier in Syracuse if you're a college basketball fan, because about 5 or 6 decades later, when Syracuse University built their domed stadium to play basketball in, Carrier Corporation got the naming rights, and it's called the Carrier Dome. That's after Willis Carrier, inventor of the air conditioning system. So he located a company in Syracuse, and they had their famous igloo at the World's Fair in 1939, and it was the hit of the fair. It was like, this is the future of America, of residential living. Everyone's going to have air conditioning in the home and really enjoy their life, because until then it was only thought of as an industrial, a business type of thing. I mean, only a business could afford to have an air conditioning system, and people were like, of course, the only point of having an air conditioning system is for a business, for more productivity in manufacturing. It was never, just like computers started only for businesses, and it was never even thought of that human beings would personally have a personal computer. That happened way later. Well, the same thing with air conditioning. And so 1939, everyone was like, I want one of these. But then what happened again? Same as it happened in the 19-teens, you had World War II break out now. And so again, the Carrier Corporation was not into the mode of expanding, and people were not in the mood for like buying air conditioning systems in their homes. Everything turned toward the war effort and saving the world and keeping it peaceful. And so actually, Carrier air conditioning systems helped to get refrigerated, fresher food, better food over to the troops overseas. And that helped win the war, but plus it helped all the manufacturing and all the plants ramp up with their productivity thanks to the Carrier stuff. And then the war ended, and then the boom of the 50s started and the baby boomers, and now residential air conditioning just absolutely took off, and all kinds of homes and all kinds of developments started to have air conditioning in the homes. And that's pretty much how it went to this day. That's also the start in those 50s and 60s of the boom and the migration in America, at least, from the north to the what's known as the Sun Belt, right here. Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Southern California, Texas, all taking off only thanks to air conditioning. Without it, believe me, there'd be no boom here in Arizona, because people would be crazy to be here even all year round without it. So there you see that even the inventor of a momentous product like air conditioning that everyone all around the world, business, commercial, and residential, all could use and revolutionize. I mean, people got more work done, people slept better, people lived longer, people were healthier. I mean, it just, the whole world revolutionized by this, and yet still, as an entrepreneur, Carrier and his Carrier Corporation went through those ups and downs. The trouble, you know, the just getting started, and then the war effort comes along, and so things come to a screeching halt, and then things boom in the roaring 20s, and then the crash of 29 and the Great Depression hits, and it's elongated by FDR's socialist policies, and so things go down again. And then the war effort, just as they're getting back up in 39, well, World War II is up, and so things go down again. But then the boom comes in the baby boomers in the 50s, and things go up again. So all that ups and downs, and actually Willis Carrier passed away in 1950, just at pretty much on the cusp, the start of the boom of what residential air conditioning did to the Carrier Corporation. And it became, and still was until it was bought out, I don't know, less than 10 years ago, I think, it was the largest air conditioning company in the world. And one of the things in the 30s, actually, or I think it was the 20s even, that's near and dear to my heart, is they installed the Carrier air conditioning system into what was then the new Madison Square Garden in New York, where I later worked. Not in that one, I worked in the next new, in the current Madison Square Garden, up on between 6th and 8th Avenue on the west side, but that was in actual Madison Square in New York, that garden. And they put in the air conditioning system so the patrons could have a better time attending events, but also so the ice could be made, so the New York Rangers hockey team could play there. And the Carrier system is what was making the ice in the old, back then the new, Madison Square Garden. So Willis Carrier, we think of him fondly here as it's over 100 degrees every single day, and just being outside in near my pool, because I'm about to take a dip in the pool to record this video for you, I am reminded of the necessity, especially when it comes to business, for air conditioning. Without it, productivity was way, way down before air conditioning. And so that spread around the world, and Carrier went into all 6 continents and 170 countries or something, and billions of dollars, and employing tens of thousands of people. All started with a 26-year-old kid, Willis Carrier, who had an idea for a system to dehumidify and clean the air and cool the air all at the same time and do it mechanically. Father of the modern air conditioning system. So we salute him today on Success Story Saturday. That'll wrap it up. Leah's here. Great seeing you. Hope you are in an air-conditioned area, as I hear that in that Chicago area, and Steve's here in the Michigan area, that it's, I talked to you yesterday, Steve, in that Michigan area where your guys are up on the roof and they need to take a break in the afternoon because you're not really going to air condition the outside now, are you? Now you sound like, everyone's mom. Like, hey, close the door. What am I going to air condition the whole neighborhood? All right, let's leave it there. That's it for Success Story Saturday. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow on Sunday Fun Day to check in and say hello. And actually, I'm going to tell a little story about an issue I had with my computer yesterday. And so I'm going to tell that little story on Sunday Fun Day if you're here, and if you miss it, then hopefully you catch the replay. And then I'll be back again on Monday with Direct Mail Monday. Always a lot of fun. I open up the mail that arrives in my mailbox, and right there on the fly, you see me responding to it, reacting to it. Do I look at it? Do I throw it out? Do I read it? Do I want to buy something from it? Critiques that work not only for direct mail, but for all advertising, marketing, and sales for small business owners. So that is a must-see Direct Mail Monday episode. But until then, I'll be back tomorrow. Hey, Dr. Justin is here. Great to see you. And Karen Parker, speaking of migration out west, Karen, who I guess I met out west, then you came up to Boston and you went back to L.A., and hope you are enjoying the summer. I think it's a lot more pleasant in L.A. than it is here in Arizona. So good for you. Very smart to be there. As usual, you are much smarter than me. That'll do it for Success Story Saturday. Thanks, everyone, here being here live. Thanks for being here on the replay, and I'll catch you tomorrow on Sunday Fun Day. Bye-bye.